You are almost there. You are almost there. I guess you ain't been through enough hell. If you've been through enough hell, you'll remember. I got to praise God so I can keep my mind stayed on Jesus. I got to praise my God so I won't stand out. I got to praise God before I lose it. Maybe that's just my testimony. I got to praise God so that he can hold me up. This morning my praise is holding me up. What I got, all I got is my praise. All I got is my praise. All I got is a thank you, Jesus. All I got is a bless your name. Yeah, God. Yeah, God. I can hear the old people say, yeah, God. Yeah, God. Yes, God. Yes, God. Jesus. 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 You've been through too much to give up now. All around you is flooding. It's flooding all around you. It's flooding all around you. But when man sees something designed to stop me, I see something designed to push me. The steamboat engines, the boats, some are totally powered by the water. So let me suggest to you that what's going on in the natural, you should see it as God is about to push me and propel me to another season and another dimension in my life. That the earth is letting me know that God is about to flood and rush my life with an overflow of blessings, with an overflow of restoration, with an overflow of resources. God is about to flood my life. What the enemy says will not be birthed in this season. I can see the crown of the head of your baby. I can see it. It's about to happen. I can see your baby about to be birthed out. The earth and the atmosphere is crying that something is about to happen. Come on. Praise. Somebody just get that signal. You gotta hear it first. You gotta anticipate the move that God wants to do in your life today. Anticipate. Anticipate the shock. Anticipate it. Come on. Let's go. Praise him. 1, 2, 3, praise. Go ahead, praise. Come on, come on. praise. Hallelujah. We bless God today. We honor him in this place. We honor everybody in their respective places. Hallelujah. We thank God for his spirit that's in this place. This morning, turn your Bibles to Genesis 49 and 8. Genesis 49 and 8. Genesis 49 and 8. When you have it, shout, speak, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Genesis 49 and 8. If you need me to wait, shout, wait. Genesis 49 and 8. When you get it, just shout, speak, Lord, all across the building. Speak, Lord. And it reads, Judah, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons will bow down to you. Verse 9. You are a lion's cub, O Judah. You return from the prey, my son. Like a lion, he crouches and lies down. Like a lioness who dares to rouse him. Verse 10. The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he comes to whom it belongs. And the obedience of the nations is his. He will tether his donkey to a vine, his coat to the choicest branch. He will wash his garments in wine, his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes will be darker than wine, his teeth whiter than milk. Now turn to Genesis 38. And go to verse 6. Genesis 38 and 6. When you have Genesis 38 and 6, shout, speak, Lord. Speak, Lord. And it reads, Judah got a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the Lord's sight. So the Lord put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, lie with your brother's wife, and fulfill your duty to her as a brother-in-law to produce offspring for your brother. But Onan knew that the offspring would not be his. So whenever he lay with his brother's wife, he spilled his semen on the ground to keep from producing offspring for his brother. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight. So he put him to death also. Judah then said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, live as a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah grows up. For he thought he may die too, just like his brothers. So Tamar went to live in her father's house. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. When Judah had recovered from his grief, he went up to Timnah to the men who were shearing his sheep, and his friend Hira, the Adulamite, went with him. When Tamar was told, your father-in-law is on his way to Timnah to shear his sheep, she took off her widow's clothes, covered herself with a veil to disguise herself, and then sat down at the entrance of Enon, which is on the road to Timnah. For she saw that though Shelah had now grown, she had not been given to him as his wife. Verse 15. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face, not realizing that she was his daughter-in-law. He went over to her by the roadside and said, "Come now, let me sleep with you." "And what will you give me to sleep with you?" she asked. "I'll give you a young goat from my flock," she said. "Will you give me something as a pledge until you send it?" she asked. He said, "What pledge should I give you?" "Listen good. Your seal and its cord and the staff in your hand," she answered. So she gave them to her, and he slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. And she left. She took off her veil and put back on her widow's clothes again. May the Lord add a blessing to the readers, hearers, and doers of his holy word. This month, our theme this month is restoration. That the Lord is going to allow us to walk and under the influence of restoration. And last Sunday evening, when we went to Macomb, the Lord furthered and said that this also would be a time of unlimited resources. So restoration and resources. And now, today, the Lord says restitution has come to your house. Restoration, resources, and restitution. Restitution is a term that is used when somebody has taken something that is rightfully yours, or you committed some type of offense or some type of crime, and now the people who offended you now have to pay restitution. It could be in the form of money, it could be in the form of land, it could be in the form of whatever you desire, but what it is, it's a means of how you are restored and you are restituted and brought back to a position of when you first lost it. Yes. So in the story today, as I was telling you, the Lord had put Judah on my spirit to be able to preach from today, and today will be a prophetic message concerning who the Lord has called you to be. Judah is the fourth son of Jacob. And so we have the number 4 today. So we have Judah now saying and prophesying, I'm reminding you that yes, you are now in proper season and proper time. The enemy tries to make us feel like that we out of season, out of order, too late, too early. But God has prophesied to you today. And God says you are right on schedule. Y'all ain't going to talk back to me. God says today that you are right on schedule. You are right in the position of where you need to be in order to get to the next level, in order to be able to push forward from this point. God gave me the illustration of track. When you're getting ready to run track, Chloe, you have to put your feet back on this thing and you have to get down on all fours. But you cannot go forward until you're in proper position and everything lined up. God says we are all at the line ready to take off and sprint. But somebody, God has put something extra in you that although we started at the same time, what God is working in me is going to allow me to get to my goal just a little bit faster than you. It may be because I trained hard. Y'all don't want to preach back to me. It may be because when you was eating, I was fasting. It may have been that when I was going through hell and high water, I stayed at the church. But whatever it is, God says, it may look like you and Joe Blow on the same level, but God says, I'm working something on the inside of you. I told you last Sunday that God would perfect the things that concern you. And God says, I have not forgotten my promise, because this day I have called you Judah, which means you shall be praised. There's a prophetic word over your life today that says, even though everything around you looks like it's falling apart, God says it's your season for people to look at you and say, nothing ain't going to happen in their life. But God said, I spoke a prophetic word over your head that says, you will possess the land. Tell your neighbor today that you will possess the land. Fourth son Jacob is his daddy. And I got to give you a little background, Pastor Cooler, because we know that Jacob was a trickster, right? Yeah. And sometimes, even though our children did no wrong, sometimes they have to bear some of the things that we did, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's still in the DNA. So even though we are anointed of God, we are called of God, I'm saying this to say, don't get upset if you got to go through something. All right. A lot of people quit church because they go through something. You quit God because something didn't work out right for you. You quit God because you didn't get the promotion. You quit God because your husband left you. I can preach that because I'm a recovering addict. Some stuff you can't preach about until you recover, until you become an overcomer. God says today, stop letting the devil take your testimony and beat you over the head with it. He has called you for such a time as this. Judah came from a line of tricksters. So in the situation that occurred in Genesis 38, he left from his area where his fathers and his brothers were, and he went to a new area, and he hooked up with a Canaanite woman, and he married her. He married her, and they had 3 sons together. The oldest son named and if you look up, some translations translate the name as being wild, E-R, or being a wild watcher. But his history is that he was wicked in the eyesight of the Lord. He was disobedient. He did not do what God had told him to do. So he was the son of a founding father, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but he found himself being bad. He found himself walking away from the things that he knew that God called him to do. So the Lord, the scripture says, caused him to die. He died. But when he died, he had a wife by the name of Tamar. Somebody say Tamar. Not Tamar Braxton, but Tamar in the Bible. Tamar's name means a date or palm or a palm tree. It's translated in Hebrew as a palm tree. And so palms are synonymous with peace. And God showed me that Tamar was a woman of peace. She was a woman of purity, and she was a woman of honor, but who had been drawn and connected to people who had dishonor in their bloodline. God showed me that sometimes we can have good intentions. Sometimes we can know the right things to do. But somewhere along the line, we hook up with some bad seed. We hook up with something that's not going to prosper us. But watch this. When you are in the hands of the Lord, it doesn't matter who you hook up with. God says that my eyes are all around you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. You may hook up to something negative, but if you remain and keep who you are in me, I will still protect you, even in the midst of wolves. Somebody say there are wolves all around me, but because I know who created me, the wolves cannot have my destiny, because restitution is going to be paid to me. I'm amongst the wolves, but I'm protected. So Tamar hooked up, and she married but they had no children. And when I was researching in one theology, in one book, it said that before they could even sleep together, he died. And somebody shout with me, seed is everything. Seed is everything. They were not able to consummate and create seed for the next generation. He died. So it was Judah's responsibility for the next son, Onan, to be able to step into position now and marry Tamar and produce. But the text said that Onan was wicked too. He said, I'm not going to fulfill what I'm supposed to fulfill because it's going to give somebody else glory. All right. Well, God said many people in the church, in ministry, they won't get with the program because somebody else might get some glory. Okay, let me talk about your job. Somebody won't help you on the project at the job because you might get the promotion before they do. God says today, He is the author and the finisher of our faith. He holds the promotion in His hand. Onan found himself being obedient. He went to so much that they slept together, but he did not allow Oh man. He said, I'm not going to do it. But the Lord said, do it. The man of the house, Judah, said, do it. But Onan said, I'm not going to do it. And there are speculation about why he did not do it. But this text does not go into why he didn't do it. The fact just remains that he decided to be disobedient. And disobedience caused him death. And watch this. And his story and his generation was ended. Somebody shout, no legacy. In scripture time, you were nothing if you had no legacy. So had no seed. Onan had no seed. So now you have Judah. He comes and he says, two of my sons, they dead. They're gone. And Tamar is looking and he says, I got one more son, Shelah. But he's too young, Tamar, for you to marry. So Judah still having trickery in his bloodline. He said, go back to your daddy's house. Go back to your daddy's house and be a widow over there. So imagine Tamar, step outside of yourself, and imagine Tamar says, I was married once and he's gone. I was married twice and he dead too. God, what about me? God says today, I need to preach to some people that say, God, what about me? It looks like I'm losing, God. It looks like I ain't never going to have nothing. God, it looks like it's never going to be my time. God, it looks like I'm never going to have a seat. God, it looks like I'm never going to get a house. God, it looks like my business ain't going to never get off the ground. God, it looks like I'm never going to get married again. God, it looks like I'm never going to have no peace. God, it looks like I'm never going to have no joy. God, it looks like my children always going to be crazy. It looks like, God, I can't ever win. But God says, if you just wait a minute, if you just be patient and working something, tell your neighbor that God is working something on your behalf. God said, I'll use the foolish things to confound the wise. I'm working something on your behalf. I'm working something, Josie, just for you. I'm working on something just for Matthew. I'm working on something just for McGee. I'm working on something. Yes, I'm up right now. It feels like I'm losing. I can't never win. I want a job so bad. But God says, it's not time. You gotta shout and thank God for the timing of God. God says today, I'm working something. Restitution is coming to your house. Tamar, she packed up her stuff. And that's why I love to tell people, don't just start talking about people when you see the beginning of their story. Stay tuned to the end. You might catch them on intermission. You might catch them when they've been abused and down and they about to lose their job. But when you are a person of God and a person of faith, even when you lose it. So Tamar, she packed up her stuff and she had to put on widow's clothes. The story doesn't record whether she asked to put on widow's clothes. But they said, I got a son, but you can't have it right now. So go back to the place where you came from. I can imagine if we look at Tamar. She picked up her stuff and she put on widowhood. How many of us has put on stuff that other people told us to put on? Somebody has spoken a word over you that you are widowed, you want to die. They put a word over you that said your children acting a fool, you ain't gonna never have nothing. They put a word over you. And watch this, Tamar had to walk out a word that she never claimed for herself. She had to walk in widowhood. I'm losing. I done lost something because I looked at the text and she didn't volunteer to become a widow because she rightfully was supposed to be with the son. But Judah said, no, it's not time. And he spoke a word over her and said, go put on your widow's clothes and go back where you came from. Today I'm preaching to some Tamars that people have put you on the backside of the desert. They have sent you away with your words. They have sent you away representing mourning. And you can be a widow. And you can look like you're going through. Or you can be a widow and look like you lick Lady Manaway.
All right.
Oh, y'all don't want to say. You can put on some widow's clothes and look like just a second person. I got a little something. But watch this. She may have put on widow's clothes, but she did not let that idea of being a widow, which simply means she lost something or she suffered something. She did not take on that mantle. Y'all don't hear me today. Stop receiving mantles that don't have your name on it. Yeah, I may be in this job, but my job doesn't define me. I may be in this position, but that doesn't define me. God says there is more to the story. Open up the book, pull back the layers. Yes, I've been hurt. Yes, I've been scorned. But God says that a blessing shall come from your womb. It looks like I'm never going to get up from this place. But God says victory is in my DNA. I shall come forth and turn over. For everybody feeling heavy today, shake yourself loose and tell the devil I'm going to receive what you're trying to get me. I'm blessed and highly favored. I got every resource that I need. Restitution is coming to my house. I'm fixing myself because I'm waiting on my miracle. Restitution. Take back his church. Now you gotta understand that even though Judah is the man of God, he is the patriarch of the family, he is the person in charge of his sons. Sometimes even when you're in a position of authority, there can be some things that infiltrate and make you get off a little bit, okay? So just that moment of where Judah got off a little bit and he was experiencing loss. If you will follow the story in Genesis 38, Judah's wife dies.
Yeah. Come on.
So I said, isn't this interesting? He pronounced widowhood on his daughter-in-law.
Yeah. Come on.
And then God turned around and made him a widow.
Yeah.
Take a neighbor, be careful in this season. So open up your mouth and speak the word of somebody else. Because God is going to bring us. Be careful how you open it. Even when you see folks messing up, be careful what you say. Be careful what you say in this season. There is a life in death in the power of the tongue. He pronounced widowhood on Tamar. Then he turned around and his wife was gone. And he found himself naked and loose. Judah found himself. He looked up and he didn't have a wife. Having a wife was everything. Now, if you will follow the story, I know that this may not come how you want it, but I got lost in the story of Judah as God was prepared. I got lost in the story of Judah because Judah, he comes from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, then Judah. And Judah means praise. And it had been spoken over Judah what was to come of his life. But even sometimes when we are under the influence of prophetic words, sometimes we don't receive them. And what that does is it delays. Somebody shout, it delays. It delays me being who I am. When I don't receive, then I'm a prophetess of God. It delays who I am. When I don't receive, then I got to get busy in the kingdom of God. It delays me when I don't receive it. So Jacob, Judah, he had some delay. So what happened is, Pastor Cooley, after he lost his wife, he found himself, and what I call it, he found himself depressed. He found himself wanting and desiring. He found himself all alone. So he ventured off down to a land where they were sheep shearing, and they were down there. And when he went over there, it was a place where people would be kind of laying around like, I see it as like an alleyway where prostitutes and people that's maybe using and just looking. And I also said in my sanctified soul, it was a place where nobody would know who he was. He was going through something, and we got to be honest, as a church, we go through some things. And we go through a season when we don't want to be bothered, we don't want nobody to know us, we're just going through, and we just want to be left alone. So he found himself down in a land that was foreign to who he was, but he knew that they were shearing. It was sheep shearing, which means they was getting the wool off of the goat and the sheep. So they were working down there. Judah, he's a king. So God allowed somebody who had kingship in his blood to find himself down on the low end. So down on the low end, he went down there looking. And he said, he ran up on somebody who was all made up and dressed up. People talk. So even though Tamar was in the house of her father, she heard that Judah was going to be going down here to this little land. And that he was going to be waiting and looking for something. So Tamar, in her mind, she said, I'm going to get what belongs to me. She said, he has pronounced widowhood over me. He done sent me to my daddy's house. So now, I'm going down to where he is. And if you remember at the beginning of the story, he married somebody from a friend of the Adulamites. And when he went on down, he went and he said there's a prostitute down on the road of Enam. And so when he looked up and he saw this woman all dressed up, she was jeweled up, she had her face covered, she was looking like she was ready. And he thought she was just ready to have a little fun. But she went to get her destiny.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah, she did.
Isn't it funny how people can look at you and they think you coming for one thing, but you got something totally different on your mind? Yeah. So she eased up the side of the road and she was dressed up. And she saw that Judah was there. And Judah looked at her and watched this. He was like, will you be with me? It was something about her. And when I say in my mind, it was almost like a familiar spirit. You know how you meet people? Where do I know you from? I don't know if I know you, but it was something familiar. Because I imagine there was a lot of prostitutes down there. I imagine there were a lot of things going on, but they hooked up. And they hooked up, but watch this. If you will look at the text, I want y'all to read this. Go back verse 18. Back up to 17. It says, come now, let me sleep with you. And this is Tamar. She says, what will you give to me if I do this? Yeah. Tamar got insurance because she knew who she was dealing with. I want to let y'all know that the people of God ain't stupid. The people of God, you have to be wise. Wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. That's the word of God. So Tamar knew that she had already been tricked 3 times already. And Tamar in her mind said, he won't get me again. And somebody need to tell the devil today, you may have got me 3 times, but you ain't going to get me today. There is something I'm playing for keeps. It's different when you just playing around. But Tamar had to make up in her mind, I'm not losing again. I'm going to get me some insurance this time. So the word of God says, what will you give me, Judah? He said, what plans will you give me? He said, I'll give you my seal, my cord, and the staff that's in his hand. So he had all of that, his signet, his ring. Those were things that were unique to Judah. Nobody else in all of the land had those things. Yeah. Come on. So Judah said, I'll give a pledge of a goat. So they got together. And after they got together, she put back on her widow's clothes and she went back home. Right. She got up like nothing ain't never happened. But somebody say something happened. She got the seal, she got the cord, and she got a staff. And then she went back and put on what the devil tried to give her. She had what she needed, but she put back home what the devil had. And she went back home like nothing had happened. And this is why I tell you that patience is so important. She went back home, and over the time, something inside of her began to grow. God said, in this season, you ain't got to tell everybody what God is doing in you. You ain't got to tell everybody that you have had an encounter that's going to propel you to the next level. You ain't got to tell everybody what you're doing. Sometimes you can't tell your best friend. You cannot let anybody know that you are going to get what God promised you. So after about 3 months, the scripture records that the people of the town, they came back and said, Judah, your daughter-in-law, she done played the harlot. She been fooling around. She been doing this and she been doing that. They came and told Judah that. They brought her up. And the culture of that time, when you were caught in adultery, you were stoned, you were burned, but you were killed. And watch this. God says in this season, the devil cannot heal what God has anointed. The devil cannot shut you out. God says, I'm going to defy tradition. Hear me in the Holy Ghost. I'm going to defy logic. I'm going to shut the mouth of every hater around you. They should kill you. You should die. But I purpose something in the situation. I have purpose that something major is about to come out of you. I have purpose that you are about to give birth in this season. I have purpose that seed is coming out your womb. I have purpose that you get it up. You're taking off your widow's clothes and you are walking because God says it's your time. Restitution has hit your life. Restitution has hit your children. Restitution has hit your job. God said in this season what the devil is trying to steal. Somebody shout, it will work. So the Bible said that Judah, he called her up. And now you enter Judah's pride comes in and he says, you really are my son's wife. Even though I didn't give you to my baby son, you are still his wife. Ain't that something how the devil trying to hold you to a standard that they ain't even follow? God said in this season, don't even worry about it. Just praise me. Because watch this. In this season, God is turning around some no's into some yeses. Watch this. Verse 24 says 3 months later, you're guilty, you're pregnant. Not only did you mess up, but you got seed. Oh God. So somebody says she succeeded. Oh, okay. Verse 25, she was being brought out. And watch this, she said, Judah, I'm pregnant by the man who owns these. Now you imagine an angry man coming. I'm finna do something. What's going on? She said, I'm pregnant by who owns this?
Everybody knows.
I'm pregnant by whose oil this is. Do you recognize that? Whose is this? She pulled out 3 things. The seal, cord, and the staff. She pulled them out and said, I'm pregnant by whose these are. And Judah looked. Now I can imagine Judah, he went and sat down. He said, I've been found out. Those items belong to Judah. And when he saw him, he said, Tamar has been more righteous than me. The man who pronounced widowhood on her and sent her away then slept with her, now had to turn around above everybody and say, she's now more righteous than me. God said situations that have happened in your life, God is about to give you restitution. Those situations that have named you as guilty. And watch this. You are guilty. But God says in this season, I have dispatched my angels of grace and mercy to say, yes, they were wrong. But in this instance, they were put in a position of where all they were wanting was to bless God. All they were wanting was what was theirs. And God said in this season, my grace and my mercy has shown up to give you restitution and restore you to the place that God has promised. Watch this. And what was in the belly? If you will read to the end of the story, that the woman of God, that Tamar, she was impregnated not just with one baby. She was pregnant with twins. Somebody just missed their shout. God said, I give you trouble for your trouble. Not only will you produce one, but if you take it in the extra, just because God, tell your neighbor that this move is blessed because he's God. This move is blessed because my daddy, my Abba Father, says you've been struggling long enough. I'm preaching prophetically to somebody right now. You've been struggling long enough. They could not step over you long enough. Snatch off that widowhood because now God has called you to produce. When I was barren, God tells me I must produce. God said in this season, people of God, that God is pulling something out of you. He's pulling nations out of you. He's pulling businesses out of you. God is pulling something out of you. Judah was a bad boy. They were the sons of Judah. That was Judah's seed. When I read to you Genesis 49 and 8, there was a prophetic promise over Judah. That the people would praise him. That rulers would come out of Judah. That the scepter, which is a ruling hand, the scepter would never leave Judah's lineage, which means that kings would be born. And when they were checking the genealogy of these twins, they linked back the genealogy to the tribe and the lineage of David, which is a lineage of Jesus. So Jesus said, I will cause it to be people who are nobodies, people who play the harlots, people who people put down. I will raise those people up in this season. See, I'm glad you've been good all your life. I'm glad that everything's been perfect. Everything's been good. But God says, I got a place for some people who ain't got no choice but to trust me. I got a place for people who ain't got no choice but to bless his name. I got a place for some people who've been illuminated to produce when others can't produce. I got a special unique anointing for those people who understand that though they slay me, yet will I trust me. God has a special place and restitution. Somebody say, God is bringing back things that were taken from me. He's bringing back businesses that you threw away. He's bringing back everything that the devil stole. So in the birthing process, Scripture said when the time came for her to give birth, there were twins in her womb. And as she was giving birth, one of them put out their hand. So the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it on his wrist and said, this one came out first. But when he drew back his hand, his brother came out, she said. So this is how he was named Broken Out. And he was named Perez. Then his brother, who had the scarlet thread on his wrist, came out and he was given the name Zerah. God says, there is a tussling going on in your womb. There's a tussle going on in your womb, but the tussle is about how great God is going to make you. Today, God wants somebody to receive that you are about to give birth to greatness. As I was this morning, and even while I was sitting there, my stomach began to tussle. And God said, somebody else in here, your stomach, something's been going on in your stomach and in your womb. Today, last night, the last couple of days, God said the tussle that you are going through is because nations are about to be birthed out of you. Kingdoms, greatness, businesses, prosperity, peace is coming out of your womb. And God says today that in a special prophetic call for restitution to come back to your house. Everybody in here, I can prophetically see the devil has snatched and taken from you. And the devil owes you some money. The devil owes you some time. And God says today, in this atmosphere, I am going to heal. I'm going to set free. And I'm going to deliver. God says, I have come that you may have life and liberty. I have come to restore you. I have come to open up your eyes and let you know that the story ain't over. I have come to let you know that you got to live. I have come to let you know that I am birthing something major into you. And watch this. What's significant about the story is when they tied the scarlet thread on the hand of one of the twins, it was almost like somebody was trying to take your place. God said prophetically in this place, nobody can beat you. Nobody can take your place. Nobody can handle the battle that God has designated for you. Watch this. When I was watching Facebook, one of the memes said, don't worry about trying to take my crown. You can't handle the weight of that crown. I begin to shout because I'm setting you free. Tell the devil you cannot handle the weight of the crown that God has designated for me. You cannot handle the assignment that God has given to me. It doesn't matter where if they tried, they couldn't handle it. Brittany, if they tried, they couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. Chloe, they can't handle the weight of your crown. Rita, they cannot handle the weight of your crown. Everybody's trying to take, but if you do it to them, they cannot handle it. So God says today,